Hello YouTube. So I was scrolling around YouTube, watching videos from here and there, and I saw this video and I just knew I had to talk about it. It is from a channel which I have no interest in, but this man's title caught me. And it's pretty much telling you that just because you paid $70, that does not give you the right to be cruel. So today guys, we're gonna watch a video of somebody trying to tell us, first of all, how we're being cruel, because I thought we were just laughing at clowns. But no, we're gonna see his talking points, and you know what, maybe by the end of this video, we will see that our actions and what we did was so wrong.
Did it say something like your $70 doesn't buy you cruelty? Well, that's what we're going to talk about today.
No, is that what you said? My bad, man, I couldn't read. It is such a good thing when somebody reminds you about the video that you clicked on. I'm sure he did not mean it to insult people's intelligence. I'm just positive about that. I hope he doesn't bring that up later in the video.
The fact that you bought a game that you didn't like doesn't give you the right to be cruel or unkind to the people that developed that game.
You're immediately wrong. If you buy a product, why is it that you can't not criticize the people that made the game? They made a bad product. This is so dumb. When you go in a restaurant and the restaurant sucks, and you criticize the employees because they gave you a bad food, you don't sit. It's so dumb. Also, he is right about one thing though. You don't have to spend $70. You could just see it and be like, yeah, no, this looks like trash. I mean, we're talking about the Vanguard game. Yeah, we're talking about this monstrosity. Meanwhile, he's over here acting like we broke the secret wall because we dare criticize something that made a bad game.
Now, I'm going to be clear about something. I'm not saying that you have to like the thing you bought. I'm not saying even that you aren't allowed to complain about the thing.
No, but you all heavily implying that we can't criticize it to the full extent because you'll pull the, well, these are people too. And by the way, you're going to find out this entire video he made is very cut up. So one segment will look like he's talking about a completely different topic because this absolute old moron doesn't know how to make a video that just keeps going. No, it's completely cut up. And if you've noticed in the last two clips, it looks like two separate videos. It's not. He does that the entire video. It made this very hard to edit.
You can have whatever opinion that you feel like towards a game, even if that opinion is stupid and wrong. Even if that opinion is stupid and wrong.
Yeah, like I said before, he insults the intelligence of anybody who disagrees with him. Because, as you know, you can have an opinion even if it's stupid and wrong. Well, apparently, but according to the majority of gamers, you have the wrong opinion. Because, spoiler alert, nobody likes games like Vanguard. People criticize it. People are happy that those games are going out of business. And people like you telling others, well, you have a dumb opinion. While also saying, oh, well, you can have an opinion. Yeah, surprised that didn't work out for you, bud. I wonder why you're in your own comment section telling people to watch the full video. Well, as somebody who's watching the full video, you're not making this easy on yourself. Oh, you idiot.
You are entitled to that opinion. And to some degree, you're entitled to express that opinion to the corporation, to the video game studio that created this game that you bought.
Okay, so you admit in one sentence that, okay, well, you are allowed to express your criticism to the company that made the game. And then when people do that, oh my gosh, guys, how could you? Also, your title literally heavily implies that you're not allowed to do that. Because when people did, and people wanted these losers out of the gaming industry, you said that they were cool and how could you do that? So make up your mind. Are we allowed to criticize them or not? Because you don't seem to understand what criticism is.
You paid 70 of your own dollars for this game and it disappointed you and you're angry about that. That is fine. You are entitled to be angry about it. And you're entitled to express that anger in certain channels.
This is something that he does constantly throughout the video, is that he won't directly say it, but he'll heavily imply it. And the entire video, he does throw digs at people, acting like they're stupid because they disagree. So, do you guys remember how most people complained that Vanguard had that same issue? We now know where it came from. It came from this idiot.
If you are mad at that Ubisoft game, be mad at Ubisoft. Express your anger to Ubisoft or to the studio that made the game. But you cross a line when you start being cruel about it.
Okay, so in one breath, you literally say that we are allowed to go after companies like Ubisoft. But now, and even in your words, you heavily imply that it's fine to go after them, which means the people that made the game. You made a bad game, people are coming after you because you made a game they didn't like. Then, you do this emotional blackmailing of, well, you don't need to be cruel about it. What's cruel to you? Celebrating when people who openly make it clear they don't like you get kicked out of the gaming industry? Is that cool? Because why is that same energy not kept when they started? They add things to games that they know are gonna make people mad, but now when people react the way that they know they're gonna react, they're being cool? It's almost like these are such double standards that you just fail to mention.
So why am I saying you don't get to be cruel because you spent $70? Let's walk through it. 1, you shouldn't be cruel at all. What are you doing?
Okay, but why is this same standard not being held towards the people who made Vanguard? They are the ones that sat there and was cruel towards us, because if you don't agree with their viewpoint, they keep shoving it down your throat. How is that not cruel? Also, who's determining what's cruel here? Is it you? Because you agree with it? Or is it cruel because people are finally pushing back against the stuff you've been pushing it down their throat? Also, how come that instead of saying what cruel is, it's just, what are you doing being cruel? Well, what are you doing being cruel to the people that are trying to buy your stuff? You are doing it first, and then when people do it back to you, you play victim. That is why you're getting so many negative comments, you idiot.
It's a video game. You don't need to go out of your way to cause harm to other people because of a video game that you don't like. Again, I'm not saying you're not allowed to be angry about it. I'm not saying you don't get to express your dissatisfaction with the content of the game that you're not enjoying.
You are literally contradicting yourself. You literally said that it was fine for us to criticize them after telling us, you guys can't be cruel. What is being cruel to you, man? You never explain it throughout the entire video. Also, what are you talking about? Because you keep changing your tone and trying to act like bad faith because you won't focus on people's actual criticism. The next part of this video, he does something that everybody knew he was gonna do, but it's still so dumb.
When you climb into someone's personal social media.
Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and cut him off right there because the next part of this has nothing to do with the first part. Do you really think people are happy that some rogue idiots went after individual social media? No, man, nobody supports that stuff. You are picking the most vile examples to try to demonize everybody. This is why this video had such bad reputation, is because you were so bad faith.
And start actively attacking that person. When you celebrate layoffs at a studio because the game that you don't like didn't do that well.
But why? They made a bad game and attacked us, and then when we celebrate that the game failed, all of a sudden, well, how could you? No, if you make a bad game, you don't deserve to be in the industry. Too bad. Maybe you should work somewhere else, bud, because guess what? This guy worked on Vanguard.
If that opinion is stupid and wrong, you're crossing a line into being cruel. And fundamentally, you should have more grace for other human beings.
No, because they did not have grace when other people disagreed with them, did they? Also, we do not have to be nice to people if they make a game attacking us and being mean to the side when the same thing happens to them, they play victim. No, I'm not gonna have grace for somebody who made a bad game. I am not going to have grace for somebody who didn't have grace towards me if I disagree with them. So, sorry bud, your emotional blackmail doesn't really work here.
But if you're not buying that, let's go on to point 2. You don't know what caused the results that you don't like.
Yes, I'm gonna fast forward this part because this part is nothing but, well, guys, you didn't know what happened behind the scenes and a bunch of whataboutisms and a bunch of excuses to why this game failed, and I do not want to waste your time. Unlike him.
Some of them not so realistic, but I've seen things that look an awful lot like all of the things I just said. So when you decided to personally attack that one specific person on social media, how certain are you that it was their fault, that they are responsible for that thing that you don't like?
Again, why are you focusing on what a few woke idiots did? You are picking the most vile example to label the entire people that don't like it. They're all doing this. No, it's a few people. Also, I don't care what happened behind the scenes to cause this game to be as bad as it is. It is a bad game. Boo-hoo. I hope they never get another job in the gaming industry because they did a bad job.
And I'm going to tell you right now, you shouldn't be certain because you don't know exactly what was going on within the project. You don't know the exact circumstances that resulted in that thing you didn't like. Even people who were on the project aren't always going to be absolutely certain on who is responsible for something being exactly a particular way.
Well, it's a good thing that you all got laid off, because now no one has to worry about any of you in the gaming industry anymore.
These projects have hundreds of people on them. Content moves around between multiple people. Unless I am the person who is actually responsible for something being a certain way, that chain of custody isn't always going to be super obvious to me. And all of this isn't to say that you aren't allowed to have your own opinions, to not like the things you don't like.
If that's the case, then why is your entire tone and the entire video completely different? And why do you have the need to keep repeating that despite you literally contradicting yourself multiple times?
It's specifically to point out that you being angry at a specific person, you attacking a specific person, is often misdirected. If you feel like you're just not getting the satisfaction from yelling at the corporate Twitter channel or yelling at the studio directly, if you feel like you need to focus it down onto an actual human being, I mean, that's really sad. I'm sorry. That's very sad. And hopefully you can grow beyond that. But I will give you a couple of outlets.
What's really sad is bootlicking for Vanguard, a game that nobody likes. Also, you're an absolute moron because this whole, well, that's sad because you want a company to notice you. You no, we're wanting a company to change. Something that you seem very offensive against. I wonder why you don't want the gaming industry to change. Is it because then your political messaging won't get through?
If you need to complain at a human being, I'm going to say you don't get to go lower than the first person in the credits.
At this point in the video, I want to go ahead and say that everything that he's about to say gets more dumb and dumb and dumb. So, I'm going to be cutting a lot of part of this out. Because, as you can tell, it went from, you can't criticize people to, well, you can criticize the top people, but not the people at the lower. Well, guess what, bud? I don't care what position you're at, I want you fired. If you make a bad game, you should be fired. Boo-hoo. You don't keep that same energy when a bad restaurant that nobody likes closes and everyone gets fired. No, but for some reason, people like you are so parasocial that you try to justify people not losing their jobs. Because, for some reason, guys, they can't lose that job, even though they did a bad product, because that would make us look bad.
Significant percentage of the time. So if you are mad about Anthem and we look at the credits, no shit, that's me. But yeah, if you feel like you need to yell at somebody for the way that Anthem is, it's much better to be yelling at someone like me.
Wow, so this makes so much more sense. You leaded Anthem, a game that is absolutely terrible, and then you worked on Vanguard. Buddy, you do not have a good track record.
Who was theoretically in charge of the project, or at least in charge of the project for some of the development time, and yelling at someone who was working on the combat or the level design or whatever, because again, you don't know exactly what their reality was. When I was an executive producer, I got paid pretty well, and to some degree, from my perspective, some of that compensation was to act as a lightning rod for this negative discourse. It's one of the reasons why I think it is an executive producer's responsibility to have a social media presence. Because some of you, if you're still watching, will play a game and be angry about it and need to yell at a human being. And I think one of the executive producer's responsibilities is to protect his team.
And that's where we're going to stop the video, because if I have to hear any more tone changing, contradictions, or him changing his opinions mid-video, I'm going to lose my mind. So make sure to like, subscribe, and comment. And who knows, guys, maybe I won't get laid off for making a bad video.